Congratulations, Carnegie. You're now the richest man in the world.
Would you have said yes, Morgan, if I'd asked for 100 million more?
Goodbye, Carnegie.
For 30 years, Andrew Carnegie has battled John D. Rockefeller for the title of America's richest man. And now, he's finally surpassed him. The deal gives Carnegie a personal net worth of over $310 billion in today's money. The largest private fortune the modern world has ever seen.
Initially, there is this enormous letdown. He can't quite believe now that he has no connection with Pittsburgh or his mills, that there is no Carnegie Steel anymore. And I think it's hard for him to get used to that.
If somebody accepts the ask too quickly, then you think there was more room there. But I never like to look back. I'm a very forward-thinking person and a very positive-thinking person. And the transactions that I did or did not do, I very rarely have any remorse over a situation. I like to move on.
J.P. Morgan calls his new company U.S. Steel. It's instantly the biggest corporation in the world. The first company in history to be worth more than $1 billion. And it will dominate the steel business for almost 100 years, virtually unchallenged. But the creation of U.S. Steel is only possible in this new era of unchecked monopolies. An era Morgan helped create when he and his rivals put their president in the White House. They may have helped buy the president, but they can't avoid politics forever. Their power over the nation's biggest industries soon catches the attention of an emerging politician, Theodore Roosevelt.
Roosevelt was the kind of figure that had to dominate, had to, in a sense, own the room.
Roosevelt is from a wealthy New York family and could have become a businessman like Carnegie or Rockefeller, but he took a different path, foregoing a career in business for one in politics. But the young Roosevelt had an image problem. His fancy clothes and upper-class demeanor left him open to ridicule. He took great pains to remake his image, posing in a New York City photography studio dressed as a Badlands hunter, with a $500 engraved silver hunting knife from Tiffany's. The images help Roosevelt transform himself from a wealthy New York aristocrat into a man of the people. And as Roosevelt enlists in the army, the image he manufactured becomes real.
Theodore Roosevelt became a hero during the Spanish-American War. And the Republican boss of New York State said to Theodore Roosevelt, "You're my boy." Got him the Republican nomination, and by virtue of his heroism, became New York governor. Roosevelt quickly demonstrated an independent streak. Roosevelt could not be manipulated at all.
As governor of New York, Roosevelt passes laws clamping down on big business. His biggest targets are the nation's most powerful monopolies and the men behind them. But Rockefeller and Morgan know they can't buy Roosevelt. So they set out to make him as weak as possible.
One way to figure out how to keep Roosevelt from becoming a major figure at the national level is to make him vice president, because the vice president doesn't really have much to do.
Heading into a new election year, it's a rematch of 1896, McKinley versus William Jennings Bryan. Through a series of backroom deals, some of the nation's richest and most powerful men convinced McKinley to put Roosevelt on the ticket.
The vice presidency in those days was a place where people went to disappear. They became vice president, were never heard from again. It's almost like a modern witness protection program.
McKinley is re-elected by a comfortable margin, and Roosevelt is sworn in as vice president. With their man still in the White House, and their nemesis in a powerless position, Rockefeller and Morgan think they have protected their empires. But their clever ploy may backfire.